हरिः ॐ शं नो मित्रस्यं वरुणः शं नो भवत्वर्यमा शं नो इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शं नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Aquarian age and spiritual theory of evolution. This is lesson number 168. You can also read once again after listening to the lecture. Now we are going into an entirely different approach in the evolution theory in the Aquarian age. Before the advent of the Aquarian age, human races were understood in a different way. They are understood in the light of anthropology. For example, the structure, shape and size of the brain and the size of the skeleton were to decide the race and nation. Before the spiritual evolution theory came into light, and people tried to understand the evolution through the light of the anthropology only. This is what Master told. Now let us understand the spiritual theory of evolution. Spiritual theory of evolution is entirely a different subject, and the present scientists, they won't believe this theory, but Madam Blavatsky and others, they proposed this theory of spiritual evolution, and Master also explained this theory several times. Now I am going to explain about this. All consciousness, which we call God consciousness, descends into grosser levels, making each level smaller and smaller in the dimensions until it finds its place in the grossest matter. Yes, I will explain you in a simple sentence. The all consciousness or the God consciousness or the God descends into the matter, into the grosser level. That means into the matter. We can also understand in a different way. Spirit descended into matter and as matter. That's it. That means God consciousness descends as matter, that is from subtle to matter state. Then the consciousness of the divine becomes dormant in the units of matter, and a sleep-like state of consciousness exists in what we call the atoms of matter. Since the divine consciousness came as matter, then what happens? The divine becomes dormant in the units of matter, like a sleeping state of consciousness exists in what we call the atoms of matter. So the consciousness is also there in the matter, but in a dormant state and a sleeping state. This we have to understand it very clearly. So in the further lessons, Master has explained this consciousness, how acts in the mineral kingdom, how acts in the plant kingdom, how acts in the animal kingdom, and how awakens in the human kingdom. Even after awakening in the human kingdom also, how many planes it works in different dimensions. That Master explains afterwards. Now, from the time being, what you have to understand, so it is in a sleep-like state of consciousness, exists in what we call the atoms of matter. When the descent stops, this is the point you have to understand. It comes down, and from the subtle matter, from the spirit state, all the God consciousness come down, descends and descends and descends, and stops somewhere when it comes to the matter state, the grosser state. The descending will stop there. It will not go further when it comes to the matter state. This is what Master is explaining. When the descent stops, then there will be a turning point for the ascent. When once the descent stops, what happens? At when it will start in the ascending order. This is what we have to understand in our life also. When something stops somewhere means it will take a different turn. In the evolution it will take the upward journey, descend and ascend. This is what Master is telling. Then what happens? Each unit of matter, which we call atoms, takes its path of ascendancy in degrees of increasing awareness and consciousness. When once it starts ascending, what happens? It is ascendancy in degrees of consciousness, degrees of increasing awareness and consciousness. And slowly when it starts its journey towards ascending, it awakens in the degrees, like in the degrees of awareness and increasing. After undergoing the evolution of consciousness, it becomes self-conscious in the stage of human birth. This is, actually speaking, I have to explain two or three things here, but I will explain later when it comes to the bottom, the mineral state, totally sleeping state, and go to the plant, a little bit awakening, like in the dream state, like that, and then go to the animal kingdom, and then go to the human kingdom. It is not finally in the human kingdom. When awareness starts, in the awareness is awakening in the human kingdom, it is what we call the self-awareness. Master explained so many times why it is not there, self-awareness is not there in the animal kingdom. Master has given one beautiful example about the dogs. Dog is so faithful. Dog is very intelligent, and he all the time protects the master. All the time he obeys the commands of the master. He understands the master and everything. God does everything. He is a very intelligent animal, God. But he is aware of the master, he is aware of its duties, it is aware of its house of the master and everything. But it is not aware of itself. It is called self-awareness. This is the example what Master has given in his lectures. He is aware, the dog is aware of the environment, aware of the surroundings, recognize its own house, the master's house, recognize its master also. All these things are there, except one. What is that? Self-awareness. After undergoing the evolution of consciousness, it becomes self-conscious in the stage of human birth. It is self-conscious. Then it finds itself in the middle of the descending and ascending path. So when it comes down as descending, and again it is going and ascending, there is a middle spot, joining spot between the ascending and descending. Then he stands. Then it finds itself in the middle of the descending and ascending path. What is that? It's the self-consciousness. Then a different dimension and change takes place. From here a different dimension and change takes place. A conscious blend of ascendancy and descendancy. It's a conscious blend of ascendancy and descendancy. This is between the spirit and the matter state. Say, if you know about Aurobindo of Pondicherry, he tells in one of his books, one time will come when the Devas and the humans, they meet at one point. This is the point. Okay. A conscious blend of ascendancy and descendancy. Descendancy is not out of karmic conditioning. It is like a sacrifice for the benefit of the junior souls. Here descendancy in the beginning states, you have to understand very carefully here. I am repeating here, you have to understand very carefully here. Descendancy in the beginning, spirit descends into the matter. Again matter starts ascending towards the spirit. Ascending and descending, right? Here, what we are speaking about descendancy, it is not the descendancy of the spirit into matter, or it is not the descendancy of the karmic thing. It's a willful descendancy. Even spirit becomes matter also, it is also a descendancy. It is okay. Another descendancy is the great souls, when they ascend to the spirit state, where they are not forced to take any next birth. They are not forced, and even then they come down again back to the earth to help the junior souls. And when they are descending and we are ascending, in some way we will meet. This is the relationship between the master and the disciple. We can understand in many ways. So you just try to understand it. Descendancy is not out karmic conditioning, it is like a sacrifice for the benefit of the junior soul. It is the sum total of the spiritual theory of evolution. This theory has once again been introduced as soon as the equinoxes entered into Aquarius. Already the theory was there for a long time, but when again equinoxes come into Aquarius, this theory has once again been introduced to the people at the time of the Aquarian age. It takes some time for the human being to adapt into the Aquarian way of thinking. It takes some time for the human being to adapt into the Aquarian way of thinking. To adapt to the Aquarian way of thinking is very, very, very difficult. Why? Because from centuries, from thousands of years, human mind will be acquainted with so many religions, so many faiths, so many cults, so many cultures, and lot of things. The theory of faith makes a lot of difference. So when they are trained hereditarily or nationally or whatever it may be, when the mind is trained in such a way for thousands of years, it is very difficult to take a sudden change. Aquarian change is a sudden change. It will not take time. Really, if Aquarian age starts with a speed, if I am right, 70% people they will not cope up with the speed of the Aquarian age. That's why Master is telling here it takes some time for the human being to adopt into the Aquarian way of thinking. We will find changes in the field of religion. Why? Because we live in a religion, whether we believe it or not, whether we know it or not, we are conditioned or we are trained in one religion, whether you believe in the religion or not. When we are born in a country, we are bound to behave like that. When we have a faith in a sect or a cult, we have to behave like that. It is hereditary things sometimes, cultural things sometimes, religious things sometimes, and a faith above all, it prevails. So what Master is telling here, we will find the big changes in the field of religion and science also, etc. Not only in the religion, all the science people, what the science people they think, all the religious people are not so advanced in their thinking patterns, and they are having the blind faith. All the religious people, they think about the scientists, they don't have any faith in the God, and they don't have faith in the nature, and they do some experiments, sometimes they help and sometimes they destroy the world. And there is no meeting point between the religious people and the scientific people. So in the Aquarian age, what happens? Lot of changes, big changes in the field of religion and science also. The concept of races for the first time is understood in the light of the theory of 7 group races. We are going into the next subject. Master is taking us to the next subject. What is that? The concept of races. What is the races? 6th root race and 5th root race and Atlantean race and this and that. All the concept of races for the first time is understood in the light of the theory of 7 group races. In the light of the theory of the 7 group races, we will understand the concept of the races in a real way in the Aquarian age. And in our next lecture, we will try to know about Aquarian way of living. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.